Mr. Womack here. I'm going to show Ableton to get recorded quickly. Hopefully, this will get you moving fast. If you've got Ableton or honestly any digital audio workstation, they all kind of work the same. But this one is definitely specifically for Ableton. So let's go. Right. So I'm going to go ahead and open up a new session so that way it'll look the same as what you see when you open up Ableton. All right, so when you first open up Ableton, unless it's the very first time you've installed it and opened it, it should look like this. Or just installing and opening it for the very first time right now, it's going to open up with like a session with a whole bunch of files in it that you can press play on. It's going to look completely different than this. But this right here is the session view. Okay, this is the typical usage for creating like beats using loops, live looping, and those kind of things. Like when you see them with the what people like to miscorrectly call the soundboard, use their fingers and trigger different loops and play it in beats. Anyway, so that is what this is for. If we hit the tab button, then they've got two different views. So this is called the arrangement view, and the arrangement view is pretty much what any digital audio workstation is going to look like. You've got your typical controls all up here, and then you've got your track names right here, different ways to select your inputs and your outputs right here. So anyway, when you up, what you're going to see are 4 tracks. So the first 2 tracks are MIDI tracks. Now, what those are used for would be for if you were connecting a MIDI controller of some sort, whether it's a keyboard, or you're just going to insert MIDI loops right here and then change out the voices. But for this purposes, we're not going to worry about those. We're going to delete those tracks. Now, if you're going to record a guitar or your voice or something like that, this is kind of what this tutorial is. So you've got these 2 tracks here. If you wanted to add tracks, you could hit Command T or Control T if you're on Windows, and it'll add as many tracks as you want. I'm going to go ahead and undo that because we're only going to need 1. But I just want to show you. So you can go in and select which input you want. So if your input, you're going to have to make sure you select right here. You've got audio device and audio input and output. So you have to make sure you assign those. Some advanced routing going because I'm doing the tutorial thing. So disregard what mine says. Yours should say something different, like the actual interface I'm using is called an FCA 1616. But anyway, whatever your interface, you might need to download a driver for it. If you're on a Mac, you probably won't need to download a driver for it. But anyway, so you're going to select your input. I don't suggest using the 1/2, 3/4, because what that means is those are inputs. I would suggest using mono inputs, and the reason being is unless you're recording something specifically in stereo with the stereo effects, like a keyboard that has left and right output or guitar effects that have left and right output, it's just not necessary. All right, so now that we've got our input selected, we can see that my voice is registering, or it'd be your instrument. You can see it is showing up there, and arm it to record, this little red square right here. Now you can see it's grayed out right here, so we can see that what I'm doing is registering. So when you're recording, you want to make sure that it's not getting anywhere near this line. Let me kind of transfer to this weird arrow, but as you can see, there's a each one of these tracks has a, basically that's where it clips out. So you don't want it to get anywhere near there. Because we're working the digital audio domain. We don't. It is not pleasant at all. So if you're plugged directly into your interface and you can hear audio coming from your signal, meaning you can hear yourself, basically, whether it's your voice or you can hear your instrument, then your audio has direct monitoring. So you don't need to worry about this. But if it does not, then you would want to turn this on so that way you could hear through, but you don't necessarily need to do that. Most interfaces have that built in. All right, so now before we get started, we want to make sure that we get this set up first. Okay, so work right to left. All right, so this is your BPM, your tempo of this. Know it, you can guess it. Staying alive, staying alive. staying alive. Okay, so it's hanging out about 109, so I'm going to put 108 in there. Hit enter. Okay. Now let's go over here and turn on the metronome. That's this little double circle thing. When it's bright, that means it is on. So now if we hit spacebar, it's going to start playing. Okay, so the click. Okay. Staying alive. Okay, that feels good. You know, if it feels too fast or too slow, you can click right there on the metronome, hit down. You know, if it like slow it down just a little bit, it feels. You know, make it try 100. Staying alive, staying alive. So the cool thing about Ableton is you can speed things up and slow them down, and it won't alter the if you use some advanced features. So if you need to slow something down to record it, it's not actually a bad idea, and you can get away with it. Side note there. All right, so now we feel like we got a good tempo. Feel like we're ready to go. Now this little box right here, it 1 bar, and what that means is it's going to count off 1 bar. So it's going to do a 4 count. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it's going to start recording. So let's go ahead and just hit the record. 3, 4. Staying alive. Staying alive. All right, I'm gonna. Okay, so now another cool trick. Anyway, so we're gonna double click, and then right click on now quantize settings. Now, 16th notes would be probably the best place to do it, just because that's typically where things aren't any faster than 16th. Doing some pretty advanced stuff. You could be, not saying that you won't or that you don't, just saying that's not typical, especially if you're just getting started. Anyway, so we could hit OK on that, and then quantize. Now we know for sure that it's perfectly in time. Okay, so if you wanted, you could trim that up to where it's on the grid. And what I mean by on the grid is the clip is in sync, in beat, because pretty much every song it works in bars or measures, and that's what this would be. So bar 2, 1, 2, 3. That's how it works. Okay, so what we could do is hit Command D, and that would duplicate. So basically, we could just say, I want to do that 4 times. Cool, yeah, that works. Also, a really good thing to do to help you get organized is say, okay, we do this, and then move the cursor right here. Just click right there, hit the Set button right here, and then you can right click on it, click rename, or you can click on it and hit Command R to rename it, and let's call it verse. So this was our intro back here. So we can go back, hit the Set button, Command R. Oh, wait, I clicked on the clip. Command, call it intro. Okay, so that just kind of helps you get organized. And if you click right here and hold and scroll up and down, it will zoom in and zoom out. You can also, if you're using a trackpad, it works the same. Pinch and zoom, except for on the actual grid itself, you can pinch and zoom. So that's a little bit easier than clicking and dragging and zooming if you've got a trackpad, which is fun. And you can scroll side using the 2-finger scroll, or if you got a magic mouse on a Mac, you can use that. Just started. Hopefully this helps. Let me know if you got any questions, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Hopefully it will be helpful in a timely manner. All right, until next time, you guys take care. Please hit the like button if you learned something from this. I would appreciate it. Leave me some comments. Thanks.